Business Matters.
The economic outlook for Guam is generally positive, according to Labor Department economist Gary Hiles in his annual assessment of local trends. Each year in January, in association with the administration's budget submittal, he prepares a report on his assessment of the fiscal year ahead.
There's the likelihood of a continued expansion, which Guam has seen measured by the gross domestic product, the largest measure of the economy. Since 2006, it's expanded somewhat each year, although the rate has declined a little bit. So that forecast is likely to continue due to expanded construction and the possibility of expanded tourism, especially with more Korean visitors, and especially if the Japanese market bounces back.
Hiles says construction contracts continue to grow, $385 million in 2015, $459 million in 2016, and $590 million last year.
So based on the commitments with permits and contracts, we would expect a measurable increase in construction. Also, there's a backlog of construction in a lot of projects which are in process, but that's been constrained somewhat or considerably in some projects by the repatriation of H-2 workers. And with the combination of the Defense Authorization Act, which allows H-2 workers on military bases and associated projects, we expect an increase in construction.
Likewise, tourism, the second pillar of Guam's two-legged economy, has also shown growth, both in arrivals and spend.
Sure. Average annual hotel occupancy rates increased from 84.2% in 2007, or increased to 84.2% in 2017, up from 83.4% in 2016 and 76% in 2015. And every month had an occupancy rate above 80% in 2017, except for October. And average daily room rates for 2017 reached $206.07, showing increases each year since 2013 when they were $164. So there's been a significant increase in hotel revenue.
Guam has now become an employees market as unemployment continues to track lower.
Guam and unemployment has been on a declining trend over the last few years. That we're now very close to the U.S. unemployment rate. As of June, it was exactly the same, 4.3%, and it's dropped in the States to 4.1% in January, but we're roughly comparable.
Meanwhile, wages have been increasing, but just slightly.
In the latest year, average hourly earnings went from $13.14 an hour to $13.72, and the average weekly earnings went from $485.65 to $497.95. So there's been a moderate increase in wages as well.
And while the outlook for the overall economy is holding steady, not so for the government of Guam. As a result of the Trump tax reforms, GovGuam faces a nearly $48 million plunge in fiscal 18 revenues and $66 million in fiscal 19.
Well, fortunately, the economy is expected to expand a little bit, but that should be just sufficient to cover normal increases in costs, operational costs. It's not sufficient to cover the reduction in tax revenue associated with the recent tax cuts. The economy overall is expected to be a little bit better, but the government of Guam has a serious challenge in trying to address that shortfall in revenues.
For KUAM's Business Matters, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Business Matters.